My name doesn't matter for this one either, so just call me the overnight security supervisor who almost got fired for something my own boss caused by cutting my patrol schedule in half. I've worked security at the Empire State Building's observatory complex for 6 years. Wednesday, July 1st, 2 visitors bought tickets like anyone else, rode up during the day, and then never left. Security footage later showed them slipping into a maintenance alcove near the 86th floor observation deck sometime before closing and just waiting us out. Nobody clocked it in real time, because by the time they hid, my rounds through that section had already been cut from every 45 minutes to every 90. That change wasn't mine. 3 weeks earlier, our new operations director, a guy named Frank Delgado, sent out a memo trimming overnight patrol frequency across the observatory levels to cut overtime costs. I wrote back the same day, in writing, on record, saying that having patrol frequency on the exact floors with public access to roof-adjacent maintenance areas was a bad idea, and that I wanted it noted I disagreed. Frank replied 2 lines, noted. Proceeding with new schedule as planned. I saved that email, because I always save emails like that. At 6:40 in the morning on July 2nd, a helicopter pilot doing a routine flyover spotted 2 people standing on the mast platform above the observation deck with a massive banner that read, "When the power of love beats the love of power, the world knows peace." Turned out these 2, Ivan and Angelina, were already semi-famous rooftopping climbers, the kind of people with a Netflix documentary about scaling buildings without ropes. They'd apparently gotten engaged up there sometime overnight. NYPD had them down in under 20 minutes. They were charged with burglary, reckless endangerment, criminal mischief, criminal trespass, possession of burglar's tools, and a handful of other counts, arraigned by 9 a.m., no bail under New York law, court date set for August 24th. That part wasn't my problem. My problem started an hour later, when Frank called me into his office before I'd even clocked out from my shift. He had the incident timeline pulled up and told me, in front of the building's general manager, that my round showed a 90-minute gap through the exact corridor the climbers used to access the maintenance alcove, and that if I'd been doing hourly checks like protocol requires, this never happens. He used the word negligent. He said HR would probably need to get involved. Before I said anything else, Frank kept going. He said this was going to be a very public embarrassment for the building, that reporters were already calling, and that someone was going to need to answer for how 2 people camped out unnoticed for almost 16 hours. He looked right at me when he said someone. The general manager, a woman named Priya who I'd worked with for years, just watched, arms crossed, waiting to see where this went. Here's the thing about our guard tour system. Every checkpoint on my route has an NFC tag, and my badge logs a timestamp scan at each one, synced straight to a server I don't have access to edit. I asked Frank to pull my actual scan log instead of talking about what he assumed protocol required. He hesitated, like he hadn't expected me to ask that, then had IT bring it up on the conference room screen. It showed exactly what I'd done, full route, every checkpoint, scanned every 90 minutes on the dot, precisely matching the schedule he himself had set 3 weeks earlier. There was no gap I created. There was a gap he wrote into the schedule. Then I forwarded, right there from my phone, the email chain from 3 weeks prior. My objection, timestamped. His 2-line reply, timestamped, overruling me and confirming the new 90-minute interval as planned. The general manager read it twice. Frank tried to say the memo was about cost control generally and that I should have used judgment to patrol more frequently anyway regardless of what the schedule said. I pointed out that use your judgment to ignore my direct written instruction wasn't something he'd said at any point in the last 3 weeks, and definitely wasn't in that email. Priya ended the meeting pretty quickly after that. She asked Frank to stay behind and told me I was free to go, which in hindsight was probably the moment things flipped for good. 2 days later, the overnight patrol schedule got restored to 45-minute intervals, effective immediately, no memo, no explanation, just a new schedule sitting in my inbox when I logged in. A week after that, I noticed Frank wasn't the one signing off on the weekly security briefings anymore. Priya was. I heard through a friend in HR that Frank's own performance review got reopened over the incident, and that the email chain I'd forwarded ended up attached to it as an exhibit. Nobody's told me officially what happened to him after that, and I haven't asked. I still have that email saved, forwarded to a personal account just in case, and honestly, I don't think I'll ever delete it. Funny thing to owe your job to, a 3-week-old email you almost didn't bother sending in the first place.